So today's averaging numbers.
That's pretty
I
easy.
like that. I like because it's adding and then
It
dividing.
is.
I
And
mean,
it looks
it's
like
not-
fun, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I like these too. Star
I
students.
know. We have some star students.
I
don't we?
know.
They've worked so hard at
Yes.
home this
They
year.
have.
Yeah.
I wish we could like have them here and
I
give
know.
them
Wouldn't
all
it be
a-
nice to hand these out
Yes,
today?
like if they got one right. We could just,
Yeah, I think
that would be
so much
awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
I miss them.
Oh,
Oh no, you're out of coffee.
is it Friday?
It must be. This must be Friday.
This is Friday. Oh,
That means we're almost done.
yeah.
You're out of coffee.
I gotta go.
I
So while
still
you're-
have a little bit left.
You're good to go.
I still have a little. I think I
Okay.
can get through math lessons.
Well,
today.
I'm gonna let you. Oh, did we?
I think.
Is the video going?
I think we need to start math.
Oh man.
I
Okay.
think we took too much talk
Okay.
time
Well,
today.
I'm gonna go. Have fun.
One more step. Okay, we're ready. Boys and girls, I hope you're ready. We are on math page number today, 283. 283, averaging numbers. Now you do notice we have some star students here today, and I so wish that I could hand out some star student awards today. You have worked so hard. I know it takes a lot of diligent effort to make sure you sit down and do your lessons every day. Some of you I know are working ahead. You're using those videos and slides, and you've just done a great job. We miss you here at school and wish we could hand some of these out to you today in person, so you'll have to get some virtual star students today. Now I chose some star student ones because you might be wondering, when you get your report card at the end of first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or mom and dad get a grade report in the middle of the quarter, you might be wondering, why is there only one number on there when you have taken quizzes and tests and you've done homework and turned it in and you've done other projects like writing projects? You might wonder, why is there only one grade? Well, that one grade comes from taking an average of all the work that you've done, of all the grades that you've gotten. So that's what we're going to look at today. So if you think about it a little bit like your report card, that'll help you. You've probably also been watching the weather, or maybe you have it on an app that you check, or maybe like I do, you have a big thermometer outside your house that you can look out and you can check the temperature. My grandma got that for me, and I always like to look out and see what the temperature is, and I think of my grandma every morning when I look at that. So I can think of what the average temperature is going to be for the day and think, do I need to wear long sleeves, short sleeves, or maybe some in-between sleeves like today? And that average is taken from the highest temperature all the way down to the lowest temperature, and we add the temperature, we add them all together, and we find out what the average temperature for the day is going to be by dividing. That's exactly what we're going to do with our numbers today. We're going to average numbers. So we have 3 steps today, and they're really steps that you've already done. We're just now doing them to find the average of something. So these are things that you already know how to do. The average is the middle value of a group of numbers. Notice we didn't say the middle number, it is the middle value. So for example, we have some numbers here. We'll pretend this is our math test. We have a 97 on a math test, a 95 on a math test, and a 90 on a math test. Now, if I were to pick the middle number, that would be 95, but I'm not picking the middle number. I am finding the middle value of something, of a group of numbers. So step number 1 is add the group of numbers. That's great, we've got that step. Number 2, divide the sum. Okay, we remember what our sum is. We practiced this last week in our review game. Divide the sum by the number of addends. I know what addends are. There are 1, 2, 3 of them. So my directions say divide the sum. This is my sum, 282. Dividend, divisor. My divisor is the number of addends, 282 divided by 3. Then the quotient, that's the answer to the question. The quotient, the answer to the question is the average. Now notice the average is going to be similar to these numbers because we're adding them all together and dividing them equally to find out what their middle value is. So from the highest to the lowest, we're finding out what that middle value is. Let's do some practice ones together on your math page today, 283. You're going to find the averages. Notice the second part of our directions. Circle the answers. Circle the answers. Okay, number 1 today, you have the number 77. 63, 49. If we look at those directions, it tells us to add the group of numbers. So this part is really easy. We put our addition sign and our equals line, and we simply add down. Now, I've taught my students to look for numbers that equal 10 or 5 or doubles. That makes it easier to add quickly. So we can see right here, 7 and 3 equal 10 plus 9 gives us 19. Bring the 1 up, we see a 10 and 8, that would be 18. That's a fast way to add our numbers. So our first answer is 189. Step number 2, you can come back up and read it with me. Divide the sum by the number of addends. So the sum becomes my dividend, and the number of addends becomes my divisor. 1, 2, 3 addends becomes the divisor 3. Now I'm going to look for the quotient. The quotient is going to be the average, and that's what we're doing in these problems, is finding the average. So I don't do 1 divided by 3. I know I need to go to the next number. I don't need to put any zeros there because we're star students, and we remember that we don't need to do that anymore. So we can do 18 divided by 3. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. We subtract, and we have 0. Bring down our 9. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Make sure you line those up neatly. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract. We have 0. We compare it. There's nothing left to bring down, so we know we're finished. But we're not finished with our directions. Now we have to circle the answers. Remember, the answer is the quotient. The quotient is the answer to the question. My answer is 63. So what is the average of 77, 63, and 49? The average is 63. This kind of reminds me of the temperatures that we had recently. So the average temperature would be 63 if we were doing temperatures. Let's look at B now. We're going to do the same 3 steps. We're going to find the average of 931 and 669. Step number 1 is to add the group of numbers. So this is a fast one. 1 plus 9 is 10. Carry my 1. I've got another 10. Carry my 1. I've got 16. Now I need to remember to put that comma in. Ones, tens, hundreds, comma, thousands. Step number 2, divide the sum by the number of addends. My sum is 1,600. That becomes my dividend. Let's make that a little bit neater there so I don't get confused. There we go. So 1,600 becomes my dividend. My divisor is going to be the number of addends. I have 2 addends. There's my divisor. And now let's find the quotient or answer to the question. 16 divided by 2. Now notice I started with that 6 there. So my answer is going to go over the 6 to line it all up. Equals 16. 8 times 2. Subtract it. That's 0. And look at this. If we bring down the 0, we still have 0. We're going to shortcut this one because we still have zeros here. Bring down the 0. Look at that. It's still zeros. We still have nothing to divide by. That's going to be a 0 up here. So that's a fast way when you're dividing by 0. There's nothing left to bring down. We had compared and it can't go into it. So you can write it out the long way, or you can take a little shortcut. Now we're getting close to the end of 3rd grade and into 4th grade. So let's look. Our average is 800. So let's see if that makes sense. 931 and 669. Would 800 come somewhere in that middle value? It would. We're going to circle our answer to show that we have found the average. Okay, now let's look down at the next section, section number 2. We're going to do a little bit of thinking with our averages today. Could 28 be the average of 36 and 49? Now let's think about that. 36 and 49. We need some star student thinking today. We're looking for the middle value. So that means it should come between 36 and 49. So if we were to look at our number line with 36 and 49, would 28 be a middle value? 28 would not be a middle value. So this answer needs to be no, because it would need to be a middle value. Could 84 be the average of 35 and 49? So again, we have 35 and we have 49. The middle value would need to come somewhere between them. Is that going to work out today? It is not. 84 is way down there. That would not be a middle value. This answer is also no. Now we're going to solve a story problem with Ethan. Ethan has some spelling grades, so I'll let Mrs. Quilty bring this up here so I don't have to work all the way down at the bottom. We don't want it to get cut off today. Number 3, solve the story problem. Ethan has taken some spelling tests recently, and we're not taking any spelling tests, so you can say thank you very much to your teachers. Ethan's spelling grades are 93, 80, and 91. He's worked hard. What is his average grade? Now let's think back to those 3 steps. I need to find the average value. So I need to first add. I'm going to add all of these numbers, 93, 80, 91. And this one is going to give us our answer of 200. Oops, I got this one wrong here. We'll try that one again. 264. When we get 18 plus 8 more is 26. So we have 264 in there. Now that's our first step. To do our second step, we need to remember, take the sum and make it our dividend. So we have 264. We need to take our number of add-ins and make them the divisor. 1, 2, 3. So I'm dividing by 3. Now, the total of his test grades was 264. He took 3 tests, so I'm going to find the average of those 3 tests. That's where that number 3 is coming from. 26 divided by 3, well, that's really close to 27, but we can't quite use it, so we have to use 8. 8 times 3 is 24. We subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So now we're going to compare. 3 doesn't go into 2, so I can bring down my next number. That's going to make it 24. 24 divided by 3, we just did that one. That was 8. 8 times 3 is 24. We can subtract down. We get a 0. We compare. 3 does not go into 0. There are no numbers left to bring down. We have found the average. Now I'm going to circle it just because it's going to help me remember what number to put over here. What is his average grade? So I have 88 as his average grade. Now when I look at his average grade, I want to check to myself and think, his lowest grade was an 80. That's all the way down there past the edge of our screen. His highest grade was a 93. Does 88 come somewhere between 80 and 93? Does my answer make sense? And it does make sense. 88 comes between them. So his average grade was an 88 on his test. He almost had an A. Section B, as long as he did his best, so that's what matters. Section B, the high temperature was 72 degrees Fahrenheit on Monday, 68 degrees Fahrenheit on Tuesday, and 76 degrees Fahrenheit on Wednesday. What was the average high temperature for the 3 days? Now again, we're looking at the high temperatures, and we're looking at the high temperature for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we have 3 days. That's going to be an important number. What was the average high temperature for 3 days? This gives us all the information we need to work our steps. Step number 1 is add our temperatures together. 72 degrees and 76 degrees. And we have, oh, I skipped one, 68 degrees. The good thing about adding those, we can add our numbers in any order and get the same answer as long as we have all 3 of those numbers. So if you put them in a different order, that is okay as well. So 2 plus 6 is 8. That makes a double. That's easy. 16. Carry my 1. I have a fast double here. 14. 15 plus 6 makes it 21. So my first answer is 216 degrees Fahrenheit. And writing that little temperature and reminds me that I'm working with degrees. Now again, for step number 2, we're going to take the sum and make it our dividend. 216, we'll take the number and make them our divisor. So there were 3 days, 3 temperatures. We divide by 3 because there are 3 addends. 216 divided by 3. 21 divided by 3 equals 7. Make sure that 7 goes right over the 1. 7 times 3 equals 21. 21 minus 21 is 0. We compare. 3 cannot go into 0. That means we can bring down our 6. 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Make sure that 2 goes right above the 6. That's the digit we were working on. 2 times 3 equals 6. 6 minus 6 equals 0. 3, comparing to go into 0, can't do it anymore. We have nothing left to bring down. We have no remainders. 72 is going to be our average. Now, because we're looking at temperature, when we write in our answer, we do 72 degrees, and we need to make sure that we put Fahrenheit. 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Now let's check to see if our answer makes sense. Our lowest temperature was 68. Our highest temperature was 76. Does 72 come between them? It does. So our answer makes sense. It is possible. Well, while you get your page flipped to the back today, Mrs. Quilty is going to scroll down for me. We're just going to take a quick look at our back here so you can see what you're working on. And I think you've worked hard today on some of these. So number 4, you're going to go ahead and divide and check, and you make sure that you add your remainder back in. In section number 5, write greater than, less than, or equals in the blanks. Now some of these might get you a little bit tricked up. So let's look at these ones here. 23, and we have to look at this one, our Roman numeral, XX, 10, 20, 21, 22, 23. That one's not going to be greater than or less than. This is going to be an equals. So make sure you're going through and checking some of these carefully. Now our fraction ones is where we want to really check. And we want to think through them, picture them in our mind. So if I picture 1/2 of 12 and 1/4 of 12, well, that's hard to picture. But if I solve them, it makes it easier. So I think, what is 1/2 of 12? 12 divided by 2 is 6. I can write the little answer above it. And then 1/4 of 12, or 12 divided by 4, is 3. So is 6 greater than, less than, or equal to 3? Well, 6 is greater than 3. So 1/2 of 12 is greater than 1/4 of 12. Again, make sure that you stop and solve your problems if you need to before choosing a value. In C, we have 1/4 and 3/4. Our denominators are the same, so we're going to look at the numerators. So if you need to draw a little picture, you can draw those little pictures. I'm going to draw a circle, divide it into 4s, color one of them. With 3/4, I'm going to draw a circle, divide it into 4s, color 3 of them. Well, I can see that 1/4 is less than 3/4. Now let's look at D. Our denominators are different. Denominators are different. So we have to check our denominators now, not just our numerators. Because if we look just at our numerators, we would think, oh, 2 and 2, it's the same. I'll just put equals in. But we can't do that. Now remember, if we divide something into 5 pieces, or we divide something into 7 pieces, the bigger the bottom number, the more times you divide it. The smaller the bottom number, the less times you divide it. We just did that with our 1/2 and 1/4. Remember, 1/2, you only have to split it between 2 people. 1/4, you'd have to split it between 4 people. So would you rather 2 of 5 pieces, or would you rather 2 of 7 pieces? So think about that one carefully for just a minute. If you had to divide that same candy bar into 7 pieces, or you had to divide that same candy bar into 5 pieces, which one would you rather? Well, we'll go ahead and we'll look at that one, and we know that 2/5 is greater than 2/7 because the denominator is smaller. And when that denominator is smaller, there are fewer pieces to share with. Our last one, we have some temperatures here. Now you might be real tempted to put in less than because you see 100 and you see 212, but we have to check to make sure we look at our measurements. This is 100 degrees Celsius and this is Fahrenheit. So again, we have to think 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point of water. 212 degrees Fahrenheit, that's the boiling point of water. That is the same temperature. This one is equals. So make sure that you are careful on your greater than, less than, or equals as you fill them in. When you get to a section like this, remember the next day, you're always going to go back, check your math papers on the slides to make sure they're correct. In section 6, you're going to show how much change was received, and I got to do this lesson with you on Tuesday. So remember, when we're finding the change, you're going to subtract, and then you're going to write in the number of those dollar bills and coins you would use. I think you can get the rest of this on your own as you work to be a star student today. And think about this one again when you have Celsius and Fahrenheit down here, which one it's going to be. Don't look at just those numbers. Put your thinking caps on for that. Have a great weekend. I'm going to go finish my coffee now, and I will see you back next week on Monday.